I'm Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast. This is Gibson football head coach Nick Hart, and well, I guess this is the interview. So, Coach Hart, how are you liking your well, you've done some practices and some camps so far, right?
Yeah, through our summer stuff here, we've had practices at our place and a seven. We went to a 7-on-7 and we scrimmaged rights in the month of June. And here in July, we'll have another 7-on-7 and team camp type of deal before we get going in August.
So, I guess how are you liking your team coming into the year so far?
I really like this group a lot. They've done a great job throughout the whole off season in the weight room and carry that over to the practice field. I really like the group that we have, and they've done a great job so far.
The so do you run the same type of schemes each year, or do you change it up based on personnel?
I think it's important to it's twofold to your answer. We run the same type of offense and defense year to year. The structure of it is the same, but I think it's important, in especially high school football. You know, you have to adapt to the talents that your kids have and what you can do. When Brady was here at quarterback, we threw it a lot more than we have any other time that I've been the coach here, and those concepts were a little bit different than what we are throwing with today. But the structure of the offense and stuff stays the same from year to year, and our kids run that from the third grade on up. Learning that base stuff, and then I think it's important each year to tailor it to the strengths of your team.
So, because you've mentioned Brady Allen, let's just go ahead and talk about that. What was it like to coach him? And in that state championship year, what was it? What was that year like, and what was the feeling like to win state?
It's great. It's what you strive to do every year, and obviously, realistically, you're not going to do that every year, but a goal that's what drives you to do what you do, and so to get there and to do it and finish it off, was phenomenal. It was great to coach Brady. I think most people in our area know this, but he's a better kid than he is football player, and that made it extremely enjoyable to coach him throughout his time here.
Yeah, and as you said, you're allowed to throw a lot more when you have a D1 recruit at quarterback. Uh, so I guess the year after, did you know what you're gonna have to probably throw significantly less? Did you know you're gonna have to overhaul the playbook a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. And I don't know if overhaul. I mean, we kind of went to be honest, it's probably the other way around. We probably changed who we were. And again, we kept that base structure, but we probably changed who we were for Brady. And then we kind of, when he graduated, kind of got back to what we've done here. Most of the other years without him. So it was kind of just getting back to what we had done.
Yeah, he kind of became the exception.
Yeah. So, we were still throwing the football. It's just a lot more run game involved in the gun run game and stuff like that on offense. Um, and I think, like I said, each year you're going to kind of tailor it more and more. I think it's kind of part what you saw teams do to you last year. Especially, if we've scored a lot of points over the years, and if people slow us down, we tend to see that again the next year. So we kind of look at how we can attack that, and then obviously more importantly, meeting the strengths of our team and what we need to do.
So there's three phases to the game of football, and so as the head coach, do you have your hands in each one, or do you specify it more in one than the other, or are you just a delegator?
Um, I'm more on the offense. You know, I'm the offensive play caller, so I think it's more important to be involved on that side in practice. I have my hands on everything, in everything. We have a great staff, through and through, and so when I'm going to talk about our defensive staff here, it's not a slight to the offense, but I feel like offense is my strength. So, um, working with our other offensive coaches, but there that have won a lot of football games and been to a lot of state championships at various stops, and um, so I'm really comfortable, especially on Friday nights. Friday is probably when I have the least to do with the defense. With some of the technology and rules now, we can. I kind of trust those defensive guys to run with me on Fridays, and I'm a lot more involved with the offense. And not that I'm not doing anything defensively on Fridays, but it's probably where it's the least. Throughout the week, you're game planning and you're watching practice film, and you're at practice, and it's a lot easier to be involved in all phases of the game. And again, we have some great guys that work with. They've done a phenomenal job over the past couple of years. We've always over in the past couple of years, and they do a phenomenal job. So again, kind of involved in it, but it's their baby, and they have ownership of it, and they do a great job.
So, on Friday, you said you had I guess, the most confidence, the least to do with the defense on the Friday night, on Friday nights. Uh, so I guess because you're already offensive play caller, uh, do you have a pretty rigid game plan, or are you very situational as a play caller, or how do you, I guess, operate?
Um, I don't know. I think as a play caller, you go into. I mean, one thing we want to make sure of, and I kind of check this and document it through the week. We don't on Friday night. So I think a lot of the paring down happens for you, and want to go with it. And we're a tempo team. So as you're talking about, play calling, you know, so you got to kind of be thinking ahead about, what hash this play could put us on, that we're getting ready to run, so I can make the call for the next play, down and distance, and some of that type of stuff. So I make a call sheet every Friday, um, and kind of go through, situations, third and short, third and medium, that type of stuff. But I look at that more because of our tempo. I look at that more in between drives, than I do, when the play is going on. Just kind of refreshers, for me. If you watch an NFL game or something, those guys are over there. Looks like they're reading the menu and stuff. But with our tempo, we want to get it out a little bit faster. So I'm more of a feel guy, and kind of use that sheet just as a reminder of things that maybe we haven't run, or thought we will see in certain situations.
So, so, uh, you're you coach it's not small, but you coach a smaller high school compared to some. Uh, so what is it? I guess what has gone into making Gibson Southern objectively a pretty successful program with maybe a population that lacks behind some of its competitors locally? And I mean, that's when you went on some of those playoff runs, you're going against schools who are significantly bigger.
Yeah, football's so classed. We play up significantly in our non-conference. The playoffs, are always going to keep us relatively around our enrollment because of the classification. But As our schedule, as our conference changed a couple of years ago, and that's allowed us more non-conference games, and we go out and play bigger schools through that non-conference thing, and it's a football is a numbers game. The more kids you have in your school, the better chance you have of being good. And it is what it is. Like it is a true numbers game because of the amount of people that are involved in offense, defense, special teams. Um, I think it's probably the sport where enrollment is the most important. But we like going out and playing those bigger teams. It makes us better, playing bigger, faster, stronger people, and helps get us ready for the playoffs. So we haven't shied away from anybody in our scheduling. We open up this year against a three-time defending 4A state champs from Kentucky. So we're going to go down there um, and get after it and figure out where we're at. So I think it's been a big benefit for us as our conference has changed, is being able to go out and play people and help get us better as we go into our conference and postseason.
So year to year, would you say you're relatively confident in your ability to win the conference?
It's always a goal. I don't know about that. I'm confident we're going to do it. It's always a goal. We have some really good football teams in our conference, and I know with the way the conference is split up, Southridge isn't really in our conference anymore. But just in the past 5 or 6 years, we've won a state championship. Southridge has won a state championship. Heritage Hills has been to a state championship. So there's some pretty good football going on in our conference, and so it's always a goal of ours to win the conference. I think it's a sectional supersedes a conference if I'm ranking
Yeah.
where what's important to me and to us. Winning in the playoffs is more important than winning the conference, but it's definitely important to win the conference, and I think it's a great thing to shoot for during the regular season.
So you've never kind of going back to the population thing. You've never really had to not recruit, because recruit's not the right word. You've never had to convince kids to really come out to Gibson Center football, right?
I think when I first got here, we recruited the hallways pretty hard to try and get kids out. We had, I think, two of our receivers that first year. Spencer Schmidt and Andrew Ziliak were first year football players. So we recruited the hallways pretty hard, and I mean we still do. There's still guys that you try and get to come out and play, and there's some guys we're missing right now, but our numbers have been really good. We've had tremendous the program, so yes and no. I mean, I think as a coach, you're not doing your job, especially in football. Football, like I said, is a numbers game. And basketball, you don't need as many guys. You don't have to recruit. The hallways are quite like you would in football, and that's obviously no shot at basketball. It just takes a different amount of guys, and we just are always trying to make sure that we have the best athletes in our school that we can, out on the football field.
Yeah. Well, yeah, roughly the number of basketball guys on the basketball team are the guys that are on the field at one time.
Right. Yeah.
So, so I guess I had something there and I just lost it. Okay, no. So, y- you know, uh, the weight program, you guys have always had a really good weight program over at Gibson Southern. Was there a conscious effort to make sure people were in the weight room? Not all the time, obviously, but as much as possible.
Yeah. That was kind of the day one thing when I came in, 11, 12 years ago, was we had to get the weight room going. Football is a physical sport, and you know, the bigger, stronger, faster you are, the better chance you have of success. And it doesn't guarantee it. I mean, we've had weaker, slower guys that are better than the bigger, faster, stronger guys, but the bigger and faster you are, the better chance you have to be successful. Um, our guys have done a great job in there my whole time here, and it started. Tony Armstrong was our strength coach starting out, and he did a great job. now Jeff Sellers is in there, and he does a great job as well. Used to be the strength coach at University of Evansville, so he's obviously knowledgeable in the content area, and he does a great job of reaching kids, and so that's a big thing for us in the off season, and we continue to lift in season, but I think especially in the off season where you can make your most gains as you go through.
So I guess, do your practices get less grueling or more grueling as the season goes on?
Um, I think less. I don't know. Um, Football's changed, and I
Yeah.
don't know how much everybody other high school programs are doing this. I mean, we don't wear full pads ever. I guess we do on Friday nights. That's the only time we put the leg pads on. We practice in helmets and shoulder pads. The double back in the old days when you did the 2 or 3 a days and you were in full pads for all of them, and you're just physical as can be, and all that stuff is gone, and it's good that it's gone. We got to kind of protect our game and make sure we're taking care of guys. So, I mean, obviously, you want practice to be hard and competitive and simulate game type experiences. I don't know if grueling would be a word I'd use, or at least we don't want it to be that way.
No, no.
But yeah, we definitely like time wise, it drops off as the season goes on. I think then you're kind of in like I remember, Brady's year is we're on like the run, um, and practice are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. It really at that point becomes like a knowing what the other team is doing schematically and what we're going to do, with that, and understanding, scouting reports and all that stuff. It really becomes the week becomes more mental, I think, as you get later in the season like that. Like you're not going to get better at blocking or tackling or anything at that point because you've been doing it, for so long. So, and not that we don't still coach some fundamentals and stuff, but it really becomes a bigger, mental type of thing of staying healthy and getting through the week and knowing what you need to know for Friday night.
So it becomes a bigger thing over execution than actually, uh,
Yeah.
or how to execute then.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. And I mean, we're still going to throw out, like, you're still going to do some of the stuff because you got to keep the timing, and everything that goes with it. But we just do like less of it, as we kind of get later into the season.
So you guys, over at Gibson Southern, don't know why I'm saying you guys. It's not like I didn't go there. Uh, the team's always, I guess, saying, how do you handle guys? Because everyone wants to play. How do you handle guys but maybe get a little buried on the depth chart, or maybe, not some people don't want to do special teams, but how do you handle guys that I guess maybe are a little bit disappointed in their role? Do you put them on special teams? Do you?
It's tough. And I think it's one of the hardest things about our job because, especially when a kid works hard, okay, and maybe just the talent's not there. He's done everything you've asked, and he's just not good enough. Our job is to put the best guys on the field. Um, I think one thing I try and do is be honest, maybe brutally honest, as we go through. We have individual meetings in the spring. We'll talk to them in the summer. So like we're sitting here in mid-July, and I don't think, not that the depth chart, and we don't have a depth chart, but not
Yeah.
that it can't change the order of who's where. But I think guys are very aware right now of where they stand, and they can. Um, but there's no secrets. It's not like they're going to show up to the first Friday night and kind of figure out like, why am I not in? And I think in football, like you said, we have special teams. We can get guys involved in. We play a lot of guys for a 3A school, offense, defense, and special teams. Um, I think, we play a JV and a freshman schedule, so we have a lot of kids playing throughout the program. It's it's really hard when it's a senior, and there's no JV, there's no um, anything else, and it's their senior year. I mean, you want seniors to have the best experience they possibly can. So I think that's when it's really tough as a coach, because as a junior you can still play JV, and hey, you got to get better at this. If next year, if you want to play, you got to work on this in the weight room. You got to get faster, um, all those things. But when you're a senior, um, there's nothing there,
Yeah.
and you hate that for seniors because, like I said, you want them to. It's their team, and it's their time, and we want to treat everybody well, but those seniors, you really want to have a great experience in their last year.
So the so there's different ways to think about this. Special teams is a thing, but are you more is you would you okay, I guess are you more willing to go for 4th and 1, 4th and 2 than maybe some other coaches?
I think we probably have gone for it quite a bit over the years. I think it depends a little bit too, on who you are as a team. There's been some years where I felt like our offense was we were significantly better offensively than defensively. Um, and so some people might think like that's a good time to punt and make them drive a long way. And I think like we better score, because we're not going to get a whole lot of stops. I think this year at this point in July, we're better defensively than we are offensively. So I might be a little bit more inclined to play some more field position games, and do that type of thing. But I think it all comes down to we want to be aggressive, and we're going to go for it probably more than a lot of people, but we want to be aggressive. But it's just it all comes down to a time, score. There's a lot of things that go into it, and just saying like I remember there was one, last year we were playing New Albany, and had was sick, and couldn't be at the game, and he was kind of giving me a hard time after the game because we had like a 4th and 3 at like the +4, and usually that's kind of like a automatic go for us, and we punted and pinned them deep, but we were up 24-0, I think at the time, or 21-0, and I didn't think we shouldn't. When you look at the two teams, we shouldn't have been up 24-0. And they had some explosive guys, and I just kind of didn't want them. So, I think pinning them and not giving them the momentum of a 4th down stop and some good field position, like at that time, that felt like the right call. So I think there's just a lot that kind of goes into it as you're in the feel of the game.
Well, the 40 to the 40, and I guess even farther in high school football because the kickers can't kick 60. Uh, a 40 to 40 is kind of no man's land because you really don't get a giant boost either way.
Yeah, and I think is to your point, like it even changes in high school because if I'm at the 50 in the NFL, like these punters have gotten so good about where they can place the ball and where
Yeah.
you can pin people. And we've had some great punters, okay, but like our punt coverage and everything is going to be different. And there's just a lot of things in high school football. There's a reason why the NFL guys are paying a long snapper, a punter, and a kicker a lot of money. It's because it's important, and that's all those guys do. A lot of times in high school football, your punter or kicker is going to play wide receiver, or DB or something else. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in the high school kicking game, and I think we've been really good at it, and it's probably we've probably kicked more field goals in the past few years, and than I ever thought we would. And that's a credit to our guys. Like, you know, we have the guys that can make it and get you the three instead of putting you in a bad fourth down situation to go for it. But yeah, I think, you know, when you get into that, you know, for us, I mean, like you're at the plus 35, and NFL teams probably kicking a 52-yard field goal, okay, or they have bad weather or something, they might punt and pin them deep. You know, for us, if there's like a fourth and long there, like you might as well go for it. Like your punt's probably going to be a touchback. Um, you know, and you're only gaining 15 yards out of it. You know, it's probably better to just take a shot at it. So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, and it's just kind of a, like I said, it's kind of like a feel thing. And we don't have like a go for it chart or anything like
Yeah.
that. What we're trying to figure out to do.
Well, yeah, play calling on that it is a lot very field based and very
Yeah, and I think there's a lot
situational.
to that. Right there's times like when if it's fourth and two or fourth and three, you might have something like, I think we're going to get this. Like if we execute this well, we're going to we can pick this up, and you're a lot more likely to go for it. You know, I think there was one we went the first drive of the state championship game. We went on like fourth and one, less than a yard, probably like at our own 40, and went for it early in that game. So we had something we saw. We were in the same set as we were on third down. We saw something that we thought we had to pick it up. So you know, that makes you a little bit more inclined to say go for it as well.
So not on the kickers and punters thing, you have had dedicated kickers and punters before, or at least kickers. You had dedicated kickers before. Is that an advantage, or does that make it easier because they can focus on that one thing? Or do you prefer that they be playing two positions?
It doesn't really make a difference to me either way. I think there's value in both. One is you said you we I don't think we've had one just only kicker. Most of the time, if they're not playing another position, they're a soccer player.
Yeah,
That's
that's
after practice. And then we've had a couple of guys that are receivers and can kick. You know, it doesn't and you know you never have to worry about him catching a you know to turn around and kick the extra point. You know, which is a nice luxury. But I think there's a little bit of it too that you play the flip side. The guys that are in the game, you know, their competitive juices are already flowing, and
yeah.
they're not just jogging out to do one kick. You know, so it makes no difference to me. We just want somebody that can, you know, put it through the upper, um, you know, give us, you know, we'd really like it, and we've been lucky that we've had this quite a bit. You know, if we get to that situation.
So you come from a coaching family,
Hmm.
and so did you know you wanted to be a high school or just a football coach in general when you were growing up?
Um, I don't know. I know one time I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I found out how long you have to go to school to do that.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Um, and it's a lot, and in it, and I don't like to read. So, no, yeah, it's pretty. I don't know about a young age, but you know, as I kind of got into high school and stuff, I knew I loved football and wanted to do something in it. You know, whether it was coaching or you know, something, you know, be involved in it to keep that, especially the competitive part of it. You know, just being able to still compete as an adult, and um, you know, I think high school football community and kids, and you know, some of my really good friends still today are high school football teammates. So you know, I really love what high school football does. So yeah, I mean, I knew I wanted to do something in sports and in football. You know, I didn't really have a plan until
So you guys or Gibson Southern has been they've been pretty, you guys have been very good running the ball over the course of uh your time there. And the O line is usually pretty, the O line is usually pretty big. Um, so I guess I'm asking you, how do you pretty much know coming in based on size who your O line is going to be? Do you kind of see, I guess, what do you look for in an O lineman?
It's kind of a combination of things. One is it starts with strength. We already talked about the weight room.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter how well I've my feet, how good my feet are, and other if you're going to get blown off the ball by bigger and stronger guys. So it starts in the weight room. But I think you look at our linemen have to be athletic. We don't have any like big old guys. They got to be able to move in our scheme, and so it's a lot of footwork. When we get past strength, a lot of footwork and athleticism, and what we ask our linemen to do. In physicality, we want to be physical. The point of attack. So you're right. We've been fortunate. We've been really good up front. We've good guys coaching our offensive line, and a lot of good players that have come through. But yeah, we're big, strong, athletic. Sure, that's every coach would
yeah,
say that, but no, I think we probably put a little bit more premium on athleticism of our big guys, as maybe some others because of we with screens and different parts of our zone scheme and stuff. You're really asking guys to be athletic and get out in space.
well, a lot. You have country boy strength
Yeah,
out here.
yeah.
The Gibson Southern's, you guys have done so much. You've been here forever. I mean, you're a fixture of this community at this point. Uh, uh, you guys have always been, when did that field get put in?
2015.
Yeah, it was because it was before me. Uh, does I don't even know what the field looked like before that. Does that field, you think, and it is a nice field, does that field, put more pride and confidence in the guys when you're playing in a nicer on a nicer field, a nicer facility, things like that?
Yeah, I think the nicer your facilities are, there's more pride in your program. I think as you said, I think the guys that were here when we got the turf probably even recognized even more how special it was because of where. I don't think games it's a big deal. Our game field was really nice before it was practice. Being able to practice on the turf every day is a bigger deal to me than having it for games.
Yeah, you
And
oh sorry.
I think like now I'm not even sure like our kids understand what it was like, but before the turf, they've been here. It's been here so long. But no, it's a great facility for high school football, and especially on Friday nights, and people sitting all around the field that aren't in the bleachers. It makes it a lot of fun.
So you said you haven't had to recruit as hard, but you still, you still do it. Do you ever see someone playing a different sport, maybe like a thrower, or maybe baseball player, and go, man, that guy would make a good football athlete? And
Yeah. I think, like I said, we've done a pretty good job of most of the really good athletes, are playing football. But one thing we always talk about as a staff is like who, and that's somebody we always want to kind of try and go after and recruit a little bit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Caden Hurlis, a couple of years ago, getting him out for football was big. He was that guy that was the best athlete in the school that wasn't playing football, and he ended up playing football and had a big impact in the state championship game, and did a great job for us.
so, winding down a little bit here, you said you don't have your hands on the defensive side of the ball as much as because you're the offensive play caller. but you know everything that's going on before going into the game. So do you guys run more conservative defensively? And there, of course, matchups kind of depend on this, but is your baseline philosophy more conservative or is it more aggressive?
I think that's kind of evolved over time. We've had two different defense coordinators since I've been here. Like I said, I have my hands on it, so it's not, it hasn't really been that. But I think, early on we were a little bit more conservative, and it was a little bit more of a line up and make sure we're playing fast type of deal. Um, you know, Recently, the past 4 or 5 years, I think we've gotten more aggressive. And that doesn't, even always have to mean blitzing. Just with movements and coverage and some of the things we're doing, I think we're sitting back less. Last year was probably the most simplistic we've been on defense, just because we had like 10 new starters on defense, including two freshmen. And we just didn't do a good job of understanding some of the different stuff. So we made the decision, even though we wanted to have more tools in the toolbox, when people were attacking us, we wanted to make sure it doesn't matter what I know, and it doesn't matter what our defense coordinator knows, and it doesn't matter what the head coach knows. It matters what the kids on the field know. So we really dialed it back and went simplistic last year so our kids could play fast on defense. And um, we probably were simplistic last year, as we've been, since probably my first year here. But now going into this year, we like I told our coach last night, we had practice. So we have more in tonight than we did in the sectional last year. We just have a lot of guys back, and it was easy to kind of install stuff and get them ready to go.
This is probably the last question because the Zoom timer is starting to scare me there a little bit. But the when you have young freshmen starting, and you guys are in a little bit different position because you guys are so competitive each year. But do you actually like having freshmen starting? Because that means if they're already good, then what they're going to be 3 years from now is going to be.
Uh, uh, but we've only had three before that, and so we had three last year, and we'd had three in the 10 years before that. That was different, and it's nice now because they're sophomores and they've played a lot of football. But as in that current season, no, and it's not a shot at our guys that played last year, but it's just I think it's really tough to make that jump from playing middle school football
Yeah.
to varsity football. That jump is tremendous. And like even we had a freshman that was all state last year in Brody Clem, and I know like his body, by the end of the season, just all the contact and stuff that goes into varsity football. It's nice to at least have that freshman year to kind of bridge that gap and get you ready.
So that's all I have. I've been a Hunter Way at the Athletes Lounge podcast. This is Coach Nick Hart of Gibson Southern. Uh, that's all I have. You have anything you want to end on?
No, no, thanks for having me on.
Hey guys, this is Hunter Way at the Athletes Lounge podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe where you can. Thanks.